if you ever were in East Harlem in a typical summer, it's one of my favorite parts of Dream, you would see teams of kindergarteners through fifth graders walking down our streets in their team uniforms, chanting and cheering, and they all create their own chants and cheers for their team.
You know, as a sports-based program, we were really grappling with how do you keep the spirit of sport through a virtual experience, especially if you can't have students out on the fields every day in the same way that we would typically have. So we wanted to think about how could you still maintain the spirit of that, which is like team-based, healthy competition. And so we designed several different activities where students are participating in different like challenges where they're still contributing to a team and then, you know, competing against each other. But definitely I would say it was really hard to think about like, how do you get students excited about, you know, some of these games and activities and moving around in their living rooms if you don't have the same hook of what you normally would of being out on the field in your uniform with your team.
Right. The MVP for the Pelicans goes to
Team and power of relationships is like core to who we are, and we needed to make sure that we designed it in that way where team was still very much at the core of all of our programming, and then, you know, kind of all the content falls from that.
Did good?
So one of the things we did was create these like at-home summer kits. So students had like a set of different materials that they could use from their own homes. And then the other thing that we did was to really lean into our near-peer model where we have our high schoolers coaching and supporting this element of our program. And I think getting the high schoolers to be like participants and showing and, you know, really helping to model and be excited about it helps with some of the motivation because it's like this cooler high schooler who's doing it with us.
Next up, for our check-in today, how did you guys wake up feeling today? So I know there was March Rally, so I know some friends were probably excited. You can share that as well.
We are an organization that is founded on the idea of the power of relationships. And, you know, at a time where there's so much changing, one of the things that you can really hold on to is cultivating relationships and making sure that those still feel really strong. So I think it's both comforting for the student to have the space to still be with their teammates and their classmates and kind of build those new connections as well, but also have the consistency of adults and coaches around. And, you know, for families to sort of see firsthand what's happening in our programs.
This summer program is really critical, I will say, for a couple of reasons. One is that, you know, there is a good amount of research about the, you know, what people are calling the COVID slide of this past spring and how much potential learning has been lost for students, particularly for low-income Black and Brown students. And Dream's mission is 100% about closing that opportunity gap and not allowing that to happen. Another critical component is really about connection. So, you know, I really believe that what we are all experiencing and have just experienced, and particularly young children who are so vulnerable, is a collective trauma. And when we think about what do we fall back on, what can we hold true to in a time of trauma, it is connection and relationship.